In 2019, 53,000 pre-med students applied to medical schools throughout the US, but only 22,000 of those applicants got accepted into a medical school. 54% of all medical school applicants got rejected from every single medical school that they applied to. Now that's not even including the MCAT. Average MCAT score amongst accepted medical students was a 510, and this is with an average science GPA of a 3.7. Needless to say, these scores can be tough and honestly leaves very little room for ups. There is another way that can save you some stress, time, and money. What's up, guys? My name is Garcia, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about how I got a full ride scholarship and a reserve seat into medical school as a senior in high school. The information in the video can apply to undergrad students as well, but it just really depends on your state. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so the way that this works is by a BSMD or BAMD program. Every state has their own BSMD or BAMD program, but it does vary depending on the specifics of it, and especially in rural communities. And so that's why the whole goal of the program is to get as many doctors as they can into the state and the rural communities, and they can really help out by paying for your entire undergrad and getting your reserve seat into medical school, along with pretty easy access to other resources that could help you out. So even though I'm part of the program, I still need to get through all my undergrad classes, and I still need to pass the MCAT. I think we need around a 495 minimum on the MCAT, and I think a 3.37 overall GPA. So I mean, it's not too bad. It's manageable, and it takes a little bit of stress off, of trying to get a 4.0 overall GPA with classes like biochem, ochem, all these tough classes. Big benefit is that I don't feel like I have to just get A's in these classes. I feel like I could actually learn it and not be so focused on my grade. But New Mexico isn't the only state that provides a BSMD or BAMD program. I'm pretty sure all states have a similar program that is somewhat like this. I'll put a link in the description that provides all of the different BSMD and BAMD programs throughout the US. But stick around because I'm going to go over some things to consider before applying. Some prereqs to consider before applying is that you should have roughly a 3.5 overall GPA in high school and or a 22 minimum on the ACT. The majority of applicants who get accepted into these programs usually have higher scores than these averages. These scores are just kind of to get your foot into the door, but it is possible to get in with the lower GPA and lower ACT, but you really just have to stand out in other areas of your application. So the first tip that I recommend is to complete your resume. Initially, I didn't take high school that serious. I think I was too concerned with girls in my rap career, but after learning what I wanted to do, I went all in. But I did know that I was kind of behind. I realized that I needed to stand out outside of school, so that is when I started looking for every and any shadowing and leadership program that I could find. Alright, now here's a picture of all of the experiences that I did just to, boost my resume. I also did quite a bit of shadowing and volunteering, along with my sports and music. So honestly, I did quite a bit, and looking back in it, I don't feel like anyone has to do this much to get into the program, but I mainly did a lot of these shadowing programs and leadership programs to really see if healthcare was something that I actually wanted to do. After all, if I did get accepted into this program, it's a big commitment. Once I learned that I really enjoyed the field, I feel like that's when I really started enjoying the process of applying. These experiences that I had really propelled me forward, not only as a person, but definitely in my application. You have to prove a group of people at a university that you are worth all of their resources. After all, they're providing a full ride scholarship and a reserve seat into med school. You have to look at it from their perspective, it's like an investment for them. So they're basically looking at what's the best investment that they can make. And I'm sure when they saw my 3.8 cumulative GPA and 25 ACT, they probably didn't jump out of their seats with excitement. Knowing this, I made sure to complete the rest of my resume. And this leads to the next point, which is tip number 2, and that is shadow. I've said this in a prior video, but shadowing is just so important. Not only does it give you an insight as to which career that you want to pick in healthcare, but it looks great on a resume. I have a video about shadowing that I'll put in the link in the description or up on top. The shadowing that I did was also part of the experiences that I listed. I shadowed at the Youth Empowerment Shadowing Program, the Heart Hospital of New Mexico, and the New Mexico Behavioral Health Institute. And a great way to reach out to these hospitals and clinics is to either just, find some contacts that and see if you could access and infiltrate into the hospitals to see if you can shadow. But if not, seek out some organizations and programs that allow students to shadow healthcare workers. Okay, tip number 3 is take the ACT and SAT very seriously. Standardized tests suck. It's honestly one of the only systems that we have into place that determines a person's intelligence, which I think is bullshit. But you gotta do what you have to do to secure the bag. So I decided to take the ACT a little bit early, and I kind of the bet on it. I got like a 17 the first time I took it, which isn't gonna be competitive anywhere. I took it again, ended up getting a 22 on it. It was a little bit better. I met like the minimum of like to apply to the program. But once I actually like started kind of learning how to study more, I was taking more practice tests, I was looking at more videos, I was able to take it again, and ultimately I ended and submitted my application with 25 composite ACT. I probably would have said that my ACT was like the weakest part of my application because it was like around 4 points lower than like the average accepted score. Yeah, I think it was like a 29. That was like the average accepted score. But I mean, I was kind of running out of time, so I just submitted with the 25 and left it at that. But I will put a link in the description for a YouTube playlist of like ACT and SAT things that like really helped me out. But let me know if you guys enjoy it. All right, so tip number 4 is increase your GPA. Crazy, huh? So GPA is a huge aspect of applying to any scholarship, and most BSMD and BMD programs, they're pretty competitive. So you gotta make sure that your GPA is a priority. Initially, I think I had like a 3.5 GPA in high school when I was like a junior. And then I knew I had to get it up, and so I took dual credit classes and AP classes, and this is where I saw like my GPA start going up. The GPA is just like your track record of your ability to succeed in classes prior, so make sure that you're giving them something to work with. Tip number 5 is to expect and prepare for an interview. Just be yourself, dress formal, and do some research on your interviewer before you do get interviewed. This will just kind of help you get an idea as to who they are and what kind of questions they may ask. For example, I had a psychiatrist that was interviewing me, and on my personal statement I said that I wanted to become a psychiatrist. So as expected, she was drilling me on questions about psychiatry and why I'm interested in psychiatry. And so if you just write something down on your personal statement and you don't know, you know, like why specifically you want to become a certain thing or what's your reason, you're gonna get torn to shreds. You may have an easygoing interviewer, and that's great, but sometimes that's not always the luck of the draw, and you're gonna get someone who's gonna look for every single little detail where you could potentially mess up. And who can blame them? You know, it's an application to med school. But a great way that you could at least prepare yourself for this a little bit more is to do some mock interviews. So basically ask your parents, your friends, your dog, whoever, just to ask you some like general medical school interview questions and constantly kind of go over these mock interviews. Like I said, just be yourself. Don't overthink it, and just go in confident. Another thing is to express how much you want to be in the healthcare field. They're looking for people for the long haul, and so if you could fit that criteria, do it. And after your interview, get your interviewer's email and email them just saying thank you for taking the time out of their day to interview you. This could really go a long way, as it shows that, you know, you're grateful for their time, because ultimately these are the people who are going to advocate for you when they're deciding who gets to be in the program or not. But of course, be genuine, because if not, they're going to see right through that. Tip number 6 is realize your X factor and own it. BAMD and BSMD programs are pretty competitive, so find how you are unique and highlight that. So although I didn't land the 36 on the ACT, I was able to show that, you know, I'm very interested in healthcare field because, you know, I've done X, Y, and Z to prove it, and to really just go out of my way and to learn whether this is something I want to do. And a huge way to do this is through your interview and through your personal statement. Tip number 7 is to take dual credit classes. So this also includes taking chemistry and biology in high school. This really just proves that you could handle college material level work, and of course try and do well in these classes because it really just gives a gauge whether you're like ready for college. Ultimately just solidifies your credibility and can really help your GPA as well. Dual credit classes may cost some money as you like need to attend a university, but honestly, like if you're gonna go all in with this, it's gonna save you so much more money in the long run. And this goes the same thing for the ACT. You know, if you're gonna spend some money to, you know, learn how to do the best on the ACT, do it, because you're going to be spending thousands upon thousands of dollars in college when you could just spend a couple hundred in high school and get a great scholarship and save on all that money that you potentially could have, you know, spend, because it's honestly a small amount for such a big payoff. All right, tip number 8 is to volunteer. Not only should you do this like in general, but programs really do value volunteering and community service. This can include volunteering at like soup kitchens, church, NHS, wherever. There are plenty of opportunities to volunteer and for community service, and it looks great on a resume and to do as a person in general. So yeah, alright, so tip number 9 is to take some pride in your personal statement. Your personal statement is your time to show who you are and really show your passion for healthcare. The personal statement aspect is what makes you unique. And this little 1500 character count is like a window into who you are as a person and why the program should accept you over all the other applicants. So make it count. I recommend writing multiple drafts and getting it proofread by like an English teacher, but make sure that you're submitting the hardest personal statement anybody has ever made ever. Also make sure you know it like the back of your hand, because you're probably gonna get tested on it on your interview. And last but not least is tip number 10, and that is keep your options open. I have really enjoyed my experience in my program so far, but healthcare isn't for everyone. So make sure that what you're pursuing is something that you actually want. This is a big commitment, and so do your research and do some soul searching, because this is something that is gonna take a long time. And if you're not passionate about it, or you're just doing it for other people, well, then it's gonna be a pretty long road and a pretty unenjoyable one. If you guys have any questions about any of the material or anything related to college, pre-med, or productivity, I am opening up my schedule for free one-on-one 30-minute Zoom calls. I usually have a pretty flexible schedule, so just shoot me a DM or email, and they're listed in the description box below. I already know I'm gonna get roasted for having a Yahoo account, but just send me a message stating yes. I'll send you over a Zoom link with the time, and if it doesn't fit your schedule, then we'll figure something out. Anyways, thank you guys for watching my video, and you guys can please hit that like button if you found value in this video, and please subscribe if you want to see more pre-med, college tips, and productivity tips. See you guys in the next video. Peace.